happy players. And you know what? I think that trend's probably going to continue, right? I think about it. To me, it started for me. You can go back to maybe like Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen days when they joined over to the Celtics. That was kind of little, grunges or whatever, where they started to form as superpowers. So you can kind of go back as far as you want. But for me, I go back to James Harden in OKC. And you think about a lot of the players we're talking about. We're talking about James Harden. We're talking about Kevin Durant. We're talking about Russell Westbrook and all these different teams they've been on. If you remember, they were the superpowers. Yeah. They had the key in their hand. Could you imagine if James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook found a way to play together in OKC?
Also had Serge Ibaka and Jeff Green, so they
were
had
stacked. They were stacked. It was the greatest team. I thought that they were going to beat that Miami Heat team. They should have. I thought Miami Heat was going to lose back-to-back finals. Yep. I thought it was going to be the curse of LeBron James. Like, this dude's never going to win a champion. He'll be the greatest player of all time and never win a championship. They pull it off. And it seemingly basically exploded from there, also thanks to the Golden State Warriors dynasty, which shortly followed after. But since then, Harden's been traded 2 more times because of his demand. KD and Russell Westbrook, also a part of that underachieving OKC team, as I mentioned, both left their respective teams 3 or more times. I know KD left in the offseason or whatever once, but the thing is, superstars like that aren't supposed to change teams whenever the hell they want. And I know there's no rules or anything. You could do what you want, but I'm just saying. Like I said, we saw it with 3-6 Lafayette. Kristaps Porzingis wanted out in New York City for no real reason at all. We've seen it through a bunch of different people. So I'm thinking the next guy, in my opinion, that's on the move because he's unhappy, I'm going with Ja Morant.
Ooh, he's still young.
I'm going with Ja Morant. I think I love that he's the perfect person for Memphis. He's the perfect fit for that city, but the guy wants to win. He's that kind of competitor. He goes into the NBA playoffs, gets bounced in the first league, and you don't give him nothing in the offseason. Yeah. You're trying to tell me Ja Morant's not going to be mad at the next trade deadline?
I think he wants to run it with his young group and see how far they could stretch it, and then maybe 2-3 years, and we'll see where it's at.
I don't know. I could see him pretty upset next year.
As a whole, I love how you broke down the unhappy player, and it's really concerning. You and I are both big basketball fans. I grew up loving the team and the players on my team that I rooted for. Obviously, the Lakers. That generation is completely behind us now. You pinpointed it. I like your date. My date, I think, is probably 2 years prior. It's LeBron's decision, but that was different. This was player empowerment where LeBron was taking the decision out of the front office and controlling his own business and destiny and career path, which now looking back, that makes sense. Like, why are we going to force some guy in the front office who's only looking out for his best interests, controlling these multi-billion-dollar entities in one individual player? So I look at it as that stage. But since then, it's completely changed to where every single player that gets disgruntled with playing time, with I'm not winning a chip, with the grass is probably greener on the other side over there, we're seeing it year in, year out. You think about Dwight Howard in Orlando. That was a 3-year hiatus of him whining. You brought up James Harden, where he's done it 2 or 3 times. Fat James Harden in Houston was saying, no, what are we playing for? We have nothing to play for. We're not a good team. Forcing his way out and killing his trade stock there, and then doing the same thing a couple months later in Brooklyn because he didn't get along with Kyrie. Yep. Speaking of Kyrie, he was still under contract and a defending champion with the Cleveland Cavaliers when he said, no, I want my own team. I don't want to play with LeBron. What are you doing? They trade him a year before they even needed to. He goes to Boston. He tells the Boston fans, I will stay here if you guys still want me. Everyone goes crazy, basically said that he's going to stay there long term. He forces his way out to go to Brooklyn. What happens in Brooklyn? He complains. He says, no, I can never leave my guy number 7. 2-3 months later, he does the same thing. Every single one of these players that are at the high profile, they're liars, 1, and 2, they have no loyalty towards any fan base, towards any organization. And I'm not saying to be 100% devoted, let the team and the front office dictate everything of your career. I'm saying there's got to be ebb and flow. There's got to be give and pull with that.
I won't be surprised if Kyrie Irving's not on the Mavericks next year.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming to the Lakers.
This might be I think he's a hired gun just for this playoffs and see what happens.
Yeah.
But
he's either coming to the Lakers or Chris Paul leaves the Suns, goes somewhere off in the sunset, and Kyrie goes to Phoenix. Those are the only 2 options.
Yeah,
he's not
I don't
going
see him
back
going to Phoenix. I feel like KD is not a big fan of Kyrie Irving right now.
So as a whole, I'm just a little concerned of the NBA over the next decade because all of these younger players that are coming in, they're seeing what their the people before them laid the groundwork for. If you're disgruntled, you throw a fit. I think Ja Morant's a great call. That could potentially happen. I hate to say it, but it might happen with Anthony Davis. We all seen the shot of his reaction to LeBron James breaking the all-time scoring record. He looked disgruntled. He looked tired, and it's his excuse afterwards was like, no,